Hey, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So this is Hamza Irfan from Feeling Blessed. This is the second podcast for raising support for flood relief. And joining me today is Danial Noorani Sahab, who is the founder of the Citizens Foundation USA. So Danial Sahab set up TCF back in 2002 with the help of Pakistani Americans. And so TCF is one of the most recognized names in the education sector. So it has close to 2,000 schools nationwide, and it has more than 300,000 students enrolled in these schools. And it's doing a great job when it comes to imparting quality education. So, for example, the gender ratio is pretty good. So we have 50% boys, 50% girls. And I want to highlight to all the viewers that they can donate to TCF so you can see this QR code. So you can scan this QR code and donate to the Citizens Foundation, or you can use the link. So this is the link, and this link is also in the description. So you can donate by visiting this link. So I'd like to start off by telling the viewers that today is the International Literacy Day. And, when it comes to Pakistan, so according to UNICEF, Pakistan has the world's second highest out-of-school children. So about 44% of the total population of that age group, 5 to 16 years, is out of school. So this is a harrowing figure in itself. And that, Danial Sahab, brings me to my first question. So as you're already aware that 1/3 of Pakistan has been flooded. So in your opinion, how have these recent floods affected the education sector? So I assume that it has led to an increase in the out-of-school children. So what is your take on that?
So, Assalamu alaikum, Hamza. As you mentioned, we are already behind. We are behind even in South Asia compared to South Asian countries, and 44%, as you mentioned, are out-of-school children, which is the second highest number in the world of all the countries in the world. So this will set us even further back. The school year had just started when these floods hit, and these children who, we had barely got them caught up with all the school time they missed with COVID, were just starting their school year when the schools had to be closed down because of the floods. So this will impact it that way. The other thing is, most of our students, TCF students, are from the underprivileged class, and they're already struggling. For them, there's already a decision to be made whether we should send the child to school or whether we should put the child to work and have him supplement the income of the family. A lot of the schools have been damaged. If you read the statistics, it's like almost 18,500 schools have been damaged, So that's another factor in setting us back, because we'll have to repair and fix these schools. And then we'll have to do what we normally do, which is go out into the community and try and convince the families that they're better off sending their children to school rather than putting them to work, and that, so yes, it will set us quite a ways back.
So you mentioned that 18,000 schools have been damaged. So how many of these are TCF-run schools?
Yeah, the TCF-run schools, TCF builds, we always said we'll build schools for poor children, but we won't build poor schools. We'll build schools that, like, you and I would have gone to. So they're built of concrete and stuff. So only about 120 schools of ours will have to be repaired. And mostly it's not because of structural issues, but because of, like, a lot of our schools are being used as shelters right now. So there are whole families in that school. They're living there, they're eating there. So that right. But the other interesting part of that is that out of these 18,000 few hundred schools, over 15,000 are in Sindh province. So that gives you an idea of where the damage has been the greatest.
Okay, and so I've heard that TCF is focused in rehabilitating the schools and all that, but at the moment TCF is also focused on providing emergency relief. So that includes providing meals, that includes providing rations. So can you elaborate on that a bit more? So what is exactly is TCF doing on ground, and where does it need help?
TCF has a history of always coming to the aid of the country because when these things happen. We were there involved in the relief and rehab during the 2005 earthquake and also during the 2010 floods. One of our advantages in rebuilding is that we have built so many schools and we continue to build so many schools. So we have the experience in construction and managing construction, etc. Where it helps us in relief is that our schools are in these poorest communities in Pakistan. And so we have staff, we have teachers, we have administrative staff that are spread out all over in these specific areas where the damage is happening. So when we go out and do relief, you've seen people handing out rations from the back of trucks. You've seen them dropping from helicopters. That is not the best way of distributing this food, because what happens is it becomes a free-for-all, and the strongest are the ones who manage to get the bags of rations. But the people who need it the most are households with the elderly, with their women, with their children, who cannot compete in this free-for-all. So our administrative staff, our teachers, and even sometimes our students, our older students get involved in the relief work. They know exactly which families in the community are the neediest. So we make sure that the rations get to them. When we realized the scope of these floods, and we realized we had to do something about it, we set initially our target that we distribute 1 million meals during the relief stage. And then afterwards, we'd build 5,000 homes. We'd reconstruct 5,000 homes. And then we would rehab all the TCF schools. It quickly became very apparent that this is not enough. Everybody's working on this, and yet still it's not enough. So we've increased our target to 5 million meals, and we've increased the target of the number of homes that we will rebuild to 9,000 homes. So we have upped the goal or the target, and who knows where the future takes us, because the flooding is still there, the water has not receded. A lot of stuff, we'll find out the extent of the damage when the water recedes, and that's when the complete assessment will be done. So that's the plan.
And what about the long term? So what's the long-term plan when it comes to providing rehabilitation? Does this only include rehabilitating the schools, or does it include something else?
Okay, for us, like you take what happened during COVID, schools were shut down.
Yes.
For the more affluent people, they could study online from home. They live in homes where there's electricity. They live in homes where there's internet connections, etc. So there was some continuity of education, maybe not as good as being in a classroom, but there was some continuity. Now, our target market, or the people that we address, are the poorest of the poor. they don't have internet connection. If they have electricity, it's not very reliable, etc. So we had to continue the education. So we had to get the education to them. We created a television show that gave education via television to the children in such a manner that they didn't even realize they were studying. It was entertainment plus education. We created an edutainment magazine, what we call, and we distributed that to the children so they could do these exercises at home and learn. So that is one of the things that we'll have to do is till we can start classrooms again in the damaged schools, we'll have to make sure that we get education to these children. We may use some of the same methods as we used during COVID, or we may have to come up with new ideas. Then the hard part comes. The hard part is that a lot of children will drop out of school because, as I mentioned, the families have lost their livelihood. They will be scrambling just to put food on the table and have income coming in. And so we will have to do what, going out into the community and convincing the parents to make a sacrifice and send their children to school even in these terrible times. So that will be a struggle. There are other things that happen. When we had the 2010 floods, sometimes whole communities moved away. So you had a school that was addressing a community, and that community, because they had lost their livelihood, moved. So then we have to, go where the children are. So those are the things that we have to consider and take into account.
And what are your specific requirements in terms of funds? So you mentioned that you're distributing meals, you're reconstructing houses, and then you'll be rehabilitating schools. So I wanted to let our viewers know the specific funds they require, specific funds you require. So can you elaborate on that, please?
When we had our initial target of 1 million meals and 5,000 homes, reconstruction and rebuilding our schools, we had estimated about $2.5 million would be needed. Now that we're distributing 5 billion meals and we're going to be targeting 9,000 homes instead of 5,000 homes for reconstruction, I would believe that it will be somewhere closer to 4 million than to 2.2 million as we had originally hoped. So it's a major undertaking, and the sad part is that the world, the more developed world, has not responded to this in the manner that we would have hoped.
If you want to give any message to the viewers, you're welcome to do it.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My message to the viewers is you have been extremely generous, and we really, really appreciate that. But we have to realize that this is a long-term effort and not just, it's in the news right now. Tomorrow, it may not be in the headlines, but the people will still need a lot of help for the years to come to get their lives back on track, their livelihoods back on track. And with the global warming, this may not be the last time that we face heavy floods. So we have to prepare for the long run, and we have to have fixes for the long run. Thank you very much.